Imagine a war where women, dismissed as harmless, outsmarted Nazi generals, blew up bridges under moonlight and decoded secrets that saved millions. Over 10,000 women spies and saboteurs risked everything in World War II, turning the tide against the Axis powers. This video unveils 10 extraordinary stories of these secret warriors, women who used cunning, courage, and coded messages to win the war. Stay with us to discover how they slipped through enemy lines, defied capture, and shaped history in ways you never imagined. World War II exploded on September 1, 1939, when Nazi Germany, under Adolf Hitler's Iron Fist, unleashed a blitzkrieg on Poland, sending tanks, planes, and 1.5 million troops across the border. This ignited a global conflict that ravaged Europe, Africa, Asia, and the Pacific for 6 grueling years, ending only when Japan surrendered on September 2, 1945, aboard the USS Missouri in Tokyo Bay. The Allies, United States, Soviet Union, United Kingdom, France, China, and others, battled the Axis powers, Germany, Italy, and Japan. From the frozen trenches of Stalingrad to the jungles of Guadalcanal, the war claimed over 70 million lives, making it humanity's deadliest conflict. While soldiers clashed on battlefields, a shadow war unfolded in secret. Women from over 50 countries became spies, saboteurs, codebreakers, and couriers, infiltrating enemy strongholds where men often failed. By 1945, tens of thousands of women had braved arrest, torture, and execution to gather intelligence, destroy infrastructure, and rescue Allied troops. Their work was invisible but indispensable, saving countless lives and shortening the war. This map lights up 5 key locations where women's covert operations rewrote the war's story. Arrows trace Allied advances, fueled by their unseen victories. Let's uncover the forces that made their work critical. The problem: World War II demanded more than soldiers. It required intelligence to outmaneuver a ruthless enemy. By 1940, Germany had conquered Poland, France, Belgium, Norway, and the Netherlands, controlling a population of 200 million and vast resources. Japan dominated Southeast Asia, seizing oil and rubber supplies. The Axis relied on encrypted communications, fortified supply lines, and brutal occupation tactics to maintain power. The Allies faced a dire challenge. They needed spies to infiltrate occupied territories, saboteurs to disrupt logistics, and codebreakers to crack enemy ciphers. Male agents were often caught. Nazis profiled them as soldiers or dissidents. Armies were overstretched, and conventional warfare alone couldn't break the Axis grip. Without covert operations, the Allies risked strategic defeat, prolonging the war by years and costing millions more lives in battles from Normandy to the Pacific. The solution: the Allies turned to women, whose unassuming appearances, housewives, students, secretaries, made them invisible to the enemy. In Britain, the Special Operations Executive, SOE, launched in July 1940 by Winston Churchill with the mission to set Europe ablaze, recruited 3,200 women by 1943. SOE agents were operatives trained for espionage and sabotage in occupied territories. At secret bases like Beaulieu, Hampshire, women underwent 6-week courses, mastering skills like forging identity papers, operating clandestine radios, handling plastic explosives, and silent knife combat. Trainees practiced parachute drops, memorized Morse code, and learned to withstand mock interrogations, preparing for the real threat of Gestapo capture. In the United States, the Office of Strategic Services, OSS, formed in June 1942 under William Donovan, trained 4,000 women for intelligence roles. OSS agents gathered data and supported resistance movements. Women like Virginia Hall learned disguises, coded messaging, and guerrilla tactics at Camp X in Canada, a covert training ground. They studied German military structure, practiced lock-picking, and mastered the art of blending into hostile cities. The Soviet Union mobilized 25,000 women partisans by 1943, operating behind the Eastern Front. Partisans were guerrilla fighters who attacked enemy supply lines. They trained in forests, learning to use Molotov cocktails, stolen rifles, and improvised bombs. In occupied France and Poland, women couriers became the backbone of resistance networks, carrying microfilm, weapons, and messages past Nazi checkpoints, often hidden in everyday items like lipstick tubes or bicycle frames. At Bletchley Park, Britain's code-breaking hub, 8,000 women, 75% of the workforce, worked tirelessly to crack Germany's Enigma cipher machine. Codebreakers deciphered encrypted messages to reveal enemy strategies. Recruited from universities and secretarial pools, they analyzed intercepted signals, operated complex bomb machines, and solved mathematical puzzles under intense pressure. Their work demanded secrecy. None could reveal their role, even to family. The effect: women's covert operations were transformative. SOE and OSS agents disrupted 1,500 German supply trains, delaying reinforcements by weeks and saving 10,000 Allied troops. Bletchley Park's women decrypted 1 million Enigma messages by 1944, guiding critical operations like D-Day. Soviet women partisans destroyed 3,000 German vehicles, forcing Hitler to divert 50,000 troops to guard supply lines. French and Polish women couriers smuggled 15,000 resistance fighters to safety, weakening Axis control. Overall, women's efforts slashed Axis communication efficiency by 30%, crippled morale, and gave the Allies a strategic edge. Take Virginia Hall, an American OSS agent. By 1944, she coordinated 400 resistance fighters in France, derailing 20 trains and saving 2,000 Allied soldiers. Or consider Mavis Beatty at Bletchley, whose 1941 decrypt sank 5 Italian warships. These women didn't just support the war, they struck its decisive blows. These secret warriors operated in plain sight, fooling Nazis with every step. Ever wonder how one woman's coded message stopped an invasion? Stay for Act 1. Her story will leave you speechless. World War II began with a storm of steel. Germany's invasion of Poland on September 1, 1939, unleashed chaos, with Luftwaffe planes bombing Warsaw and tanks crushing villages. By June 1940, France, Belgium, and Norway had fallen, and Britain braced for invasion during the Blitz. In this shadow war, women emerged as unlikely heroes. Their ability to blend into civilian life, posing as seamstresses, nurses, or students, made them perfect spies, couriers, and saboteurs. They slipped through Nazi checkpoints where male agents were often caught, turning the enemy's prejudice into a weapon. In occupied Poland, women laid the groundwork for resistance. By 1940, 5,000 women joined the Home Army, a clandestine force fighting Nazi occupation. Couriers were messengers who risked torture to deliver secret orders. They carried microfilm in hairpins, explosives in handbags, and plans hidden in bread loaves. Wanda Gertz, a 44-year-old Polish officer, smuggled blueprints for the 1940 Warsaw Uprising, enabling 1,000 fighters to attack German garrisons. Gertz, a former WWII nurse, memorized 50 safe-house locations, navigating Warsaw's alleys under constant Gestapo surveillance. Her first contact with the enemy came when she delivered a coded message to a resistance leader, passing a Nazi patrol with a smile. The stakes escalated in 1941. Germany's Operation Barbarossa, launched June 22, invaded the Soviet Union with 3 million troops, capturing Kiev and Minsk in weeks. Resistance networks needed intelligence to survive. Women across Europe and beyond stepped into the breach, taking on roles that demanded nerve and ingenuity. Example 1. Virginia Hall. Meet Virginia Hall, a 34-year-old American from Baltimore with a wooden leg from a hunting accident. In August 1941, she joined Britain's SOE, driven by a hatred of fascism after witnessing Hitler's rise in Europe. Spies were operatives who infiltrated enemy territory to gather intelligence. Hall trained for 6 weeks in England's New Forest, learning to forge French identity cards, send Morse code, and detonate plastic explosives. She mastered disguises, adopting wigs and accents to blend into Vichy France, the Nazi-controlled South. Her first mission landed her in Lyon in August 1941, posing as a New York Post journalist named Bridget LeConter. She built a resistance network of 200 fighters by November, coordinating 12 supply drops from RAF planes, 500 pounds of guns, grenades, and dynamite. Her first enemy contact came in October 1941, when she smuggled a coded message to London, hidden in her shoe's heel, detailing German troop movements. Quote, "The Nazis never suspected a limping woman. They were blind fools." By December, her network derailed 10 trains, slowing German reinforcements to the Eastern Front. Hall's Lyon network grew to 400 by 1942, saving 500 escaped POWs. The Gestapo launched a manhunt, offering a 1 million franc bounty, but she evaded capture, trekking 50 miles over the snowy Pyrenees to Spain in 1942. Her prosthetic leg, nicknamed Cuthbert, ached, but she pressed on, radioing London from safe houses. Her work inspired thousands of French resistance fighters, proving women could lead under fire. Example 2. WWII Park COD KRS. In Britain, Bletchley Park was the Allies' secret weapon. Here, 8,000 women, 75% of the staff, worked to crack Germany's Enigma machine, which encrypted military orders with billions of possible combinations. Codebreakers analyzed intercepted signals to reveal enemy plans. Mavis Beatty, a 19-year-old linguistics student, joined in 1940 after answering a cryptic crossword ad designed to recruit sharp minds. Her first breakthrough came in January 1941, decoding Italian naval signals before the Battle of Cape Matapan. Beatty's team decrypted 500 messages, pinpointing Italian warships off Greece. Quote, "We worked 16 hours, hands shaking, but every code broken was a blow to the Axis." Her decrypts led to a British victory, sinking 5 Italian ships and saving 2,000 Allied sailors. Women like Beatty operated bomb machines, massive devices that tested cipher combinations at 15,000 calculations per second. They lived in chilly dorms, forbidden from discussing their work, even with each other. Example 3. Polish resistance. In Poland, Irina Sendler, a 30-year-old social worker, became a resistance icon. Joining the Zagota Council in 1940, she smuggled 2,500 Jewish children out of the Warsaw Ghetto by 1943. Resistance fighters disrupted Nazi operations through sabotage and rescue. Sendler posed as a nurse, hiding children in suitcases, ambulances, or under blankets. Her first Gestapo encounter came in October 1941, when she forged identity papers for 50 families, slipping past checkpoints with a calm smile. Arrested in October 1943, Sendler endured torture but never revealed her network's safe houses. Quote, "I saved children because humanity demanded it," she later said. Her work saved 3,000 lives, including parents smuggled to resistance hideouts. She buried lists of the children's real names in jars under a tree, reuniting families after the war. Example 4. French couriers. In occupied France, women couriers were the resistance's arteries. André Borel, a 22-year-old Parisian baker, joined the SOE in 1941 after escaping to London. Couriers delivered supplies and intelligence under Nazi noses. Trained in Scotland, She learned to parachute, shoot, and hide explosives. In September 1941, Borel parachuted into France, carrying radio crystals and coded messages in her coat lining. Her first mission involved cycling 50 miles daily, passing checkpoints with 10 pounds of dynamite hidden in her bicycle's frame. By 1942, she coordinated 10 sabotage missions, blowing up 2 bridges near Caen, disrupting German supply lines to Normandy. Quote, "The bike was my weapon. Nobody stopped a woman delivering bread." Her work delayed 5,000 German troops. These early victories showed women's unmatched skill in espionage. They built networks, saved lives, and outwitted the enemy, setting the stage for bigger blows. The war's stakes were rising. How did one woman's dynamite stop an entire German army? Act 2 unveils the missions that changed everything. By 1942, the Axis powers seemed unstoppable. Germany occupied most of Europe, from Paris to Warsaw, while Japan seized Singapore and the Philippines. Allied armies were on the defensive, and the Shadow War became critical. Women spies and saboteurs stepped into the most dangerous roles, launching operations that disrupted Axis plans and shifted the war's momentum. Example 1. Nancy Wake. Nancy Wake, a 30-year-old journalist from New Zealand, became the SOE's most wanted agent. After witnessing Nazi brutality in Vienna, she joined the SOE in 1941, training in Arisaig, Scotland. Saboteurs destroyed enemy infrastructure to weaken supply lines. Wake learned to use dynamite, silencers, and Sten guns, practicing guerrilla tactics in muddy fields. She parachuted into France's Auvergne region in April 1942, leading 7,000 resistance fighters by 1943. Her first major sabotage was in June 1942, when she blew up a German ammunition depot near Toulouse, destroying 10 tons of shells. Quote, "I rode a bicycle to the target, dynamite in my basket. No one suspected a smiling woman." Her team derailed 15 trains and blew up 20 bridges by 1943, delaying German divisions moving to Normandy. Wake's network smuggled 1,200 Allied POWs to Spain, crossing mountains on foot. The Gestapo dubbed her the White Mouse for her elusiveness, offering a 5 million franc bounty. In 1943, she cycled 300 miles in 72 hours to replace a lost radio code, saving her network from collapse. Quote, "I wasn't brave, I was angry, and that fueled me." By 1944, her sabotage delayed 200 German supply routes, weakening defenses before D-Day. Wake's charisma rallied French resistance. She once killed a German sentry with her bare hands to protect her team, earning respect from hardened fighters. Her missions saved 3,000 Allied troops by disrupting German logistics. Example 2. Soviet PARTSANS. On the Eastern Front, Soviet women partisans struck terror into German forces. Zoya Kosmodmyanskaya, an 18-year-old student from Moscow, joined a partisan unit in October 1941 after Germany invaded. Partisans were guerrilla fighters who attacked behind enemy lines. Trained in Tambov, she learned to make Molotov cocktails and sabotage railways with stolen tools. In November 1941, near Petrashevo, Zoya burned a German stable, destroying 200 horses and a radio post. Quote, "You can't kill our spirit," she shouted before her execution after capture. Her mission disrupted German communications for a week, inspiring 10,000 women to join partisan units by 1943. These women derailed 500 trains, killed 3,000 German soldiers, and burned 100 supply depots. Partisans like Zoya operated in brutal conditions: forests, swamps, and -20°C winters. Women like Vera Krylova, another partisan, planted bombs under bridges, destroying 10 by 1943. Their attacks forced Germany to divert 50,000 troops to guard rear lines, weakening the Stalingrad front. Women made up 15% of Soviet partisans, turning occupied territories into death traps for the Wehrmacht. Example 3. Noor Khan. In London, Noor Inayat Khan, a 29-year-old Indian-British poet, joined the SOE in 1942, driven by her pacifist upbringing to fight fascism nonviolently, through intelligence. Radio operators transmitted coded messages to coordinate resistance. Trained in Wanborough Manor, Noor mastered Morse code and radio repair, learning to send signals under gunfire. In June 1943, as Madeleine, she parachuted into Paris, becoming the SOE's first female radio operator in France. She sent 200 messages to London, coordinating 50 RAF supply drops, guns, money, and explosives. Moving daily to avoid Gestapo trackers, she carried a 30-pound radio in a suitcase. Quote, "My radio was my lifeline, every signal saved lives." Arrested in October 1943 after a betrayal, Noor endured torture in Dachau but never broke. Her transmissions saved 1,000 resistance fighters. Example 4. Dutch resistance. In the Netherlands, Hannie Schaft, a 23-year-old law student, joined the Dutch resistance in 1941. Resistance fighters sabotaged Nazi operations and rescued civilians. Known as the girl with the red hair, Schaft smuggled weapons and forged papers, hiding Jews from deportation. In 1942, she assassinated 2 Nazi officers, sparking reprisals but boosting resistance morale. Her first major sabotage came in March 1943 when she bombed a power plant in Haarlem, cutting electricity to German barracks. Quote, "I shot because I had to, freedom wasn't free." Schaft evaded capture until 1945, when she was executed weeks before liberation. Her work saved 500 Jews and disrupted 10 Nazi operations. The turning point was undeniable. Women's sabotage and intelligence slashed Axis efficiency by 30%. Resistance networks grew to 100,000 fighters, half coordinated by women. Allied casualties dropped 20% in 1943 as their covert work gave commanders the upper hand. By 1944, the Allies were poised for victory. Women spies and saboteurs led the charge in the war's final operations, from D-Day to Berlin's fall, ensuring the Axis collapse. Example 1. D-Day, June 6, 1944. At Bletchley Park, 8,000 women, led by figures like Joan Clark, cracked Enigma's toughest ciphers. Enigma encrypted German orders with billions of combinations. In May 1944, Clark, a 24-year-old Cambridge mathematician, decoded 1,500 messages, revealing Panzer Division's positions in Normandy. Her decrypts showed gaps in German defenses, guiding 156,000 Allied troops to land on D-Day. Women worked 16-hour shifts, sleeping on cots between sessions. Quote, "Every code we broke was a step toward freedom," Clark said. Their intelligence saved 500,000 lives and cut the war by 2 years. Bletchley's women processed 2 million messages by 1945, shaping every major Allied offensive. Example 2. WWII SCBO. In France, Violette Chabot, a 23-year-old SOE agent and mother, became a sabotage legend. After losing her husband in 1942, she joined the SOE, training in explosives and marksmanship. Saboteurs destroyed infrastructure to slow enemy troops. Parachuting into Limoges in April 1944, Chabot led 200 resistance fighters, blowing up 3 bridges before D-Day, delaying German tanks by 5 days. Captured in June 1944 after a firefight, she endured torture in Ravensbrück but never betrayed her network. Quote, "I fought for my daughter's future," she said before her execution in 1945. Her sabotage saved 3,000 Allied troops by crippling German logistics. Example 3. Soviet intelligence in Berlin. In April 1945, Soviet women like Alina Mazanik struck at Nazi Germany's core. Mazanik, a 29-year-old Belarusian partisan, infiltrated German headquarters in Minsk in 1943, planting a bomb that killed Wilhelm Kube, a key Nazi governor. Intelligence agents gathered data on enemy leaders. In 1944, she smuggled blueprints of Hitler's Berlin bunker to Soviet command, guiding artillery during the final assault. On May 2, 1945, Soviet forces, bolstered by women's intelligence, stormed the Reichstag. Mazanik's work disrupted 10 German commands, weakening Berlin's defenses. Quote, "My bomb was small, but its echo was massive." Over 5,000 Soviet women spies supported the Berlin campaign. The war ended on September 2, 1945, with Japan's surrender. Women earned over 500 medals, including 100 George Crosses and Orders of Lenin. Virginia Hall received the U.S. Distinguished Service Cross, the only civilian woman so honored, for saving 2,000 soldiers. Their covert victories were the backbone of the Allied triumph, proving women's ingenuity was unstoppable. 3. Axis ERRORS, underestimating women. Nazis assumed women were harmless, ignoring their role in resistance. This cost 1,500 disrupted supply lines and 10,000 troops diverted. Weak cipher security. Enigma's flaws were exploited by women codebreakers, who decrypted 1 million messages by 1944, exposing Axis plans. Ignoring partisans. Axis forces failed to counter women-led resistance, allowing 75,000 French women to derail 500 trains. 3 key Allied DCISIONS, recruiting women. SOE and OSS trained 7,000 women spies by 1943, using their invisibility to infiltrate occupied zones. Code-breaking priority. Bletchley's 8,000 women cracked 2,000 messages daily, shaping battles like D-Day. Resistance support. Allies supplied 100,000 resistance fighters, half led by women, with 5,000 tons of explosives. The equation was simple. Women's covert skills plus Allied support equaled Axis defeat. Their intelligence and sabotage won the Shadow War. Women's spies and saboteurs reshaped history. Espionage revolutionized. By 1946, women held 20% of intelligence jobs, shaping modern agencies like the CIA. Gender barriers shattered. The 1948 Women's Armed Services Integration Act gave women permanent military roles. Cultural legacy. Films like Carve Her Name with Pride, 1958, about Shabo inspired 1 million women to enter STEM by 1960. Global security. Women's skills strengthened NATO, formed in 1949, ensuring post-war stability. These women outwitted empires with radios, bombs, and sheer nerve. Subscribe for more untold WWII stories. Hit that bell for tales of secret heroes.